Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well? Awesome. Thank you for being here. I know this is the hardest one for the day. I hope the party was worth it yesterday. And usually it's either in the first presentation you get like really sleepy or really get really energized. So I hope it's the latter. So this one is really special for me. It's not my first rodeo. I've been speaking all over the place for quite some time now, but I hardly had an opportunity to speak in front of the Balkan people. So I decided to make most of it and make my presentation and my talk about it. And the topic of the talk is United by Tech, or what the Balkan states and Balkan region could be like if we get our shit together, get united, and work together. So first about me and what I'm speaking about. My name is Nick, just like what I go by. My full name is Nikolai. I'm a founder and CEO of LimeChain, which is a blockchain development company. I'll tap on that later on. I'm a co-founder of multiple companies. We call it like LimeTech group of companies. They're all united by Web3 and blockchain. And also I'm a Web3 advocate, or at least I consider myself such. What I'm trying to do is, persuade boomers that Web3 is the way to go. So far it's going successfully, more boomers persuaded than not. And I'm so tech lover, ever since tech was not so easy to love. Now it's glossy displays, like really beautiful devices. Back in my days, it was like cheap plastic and huge motherboards. You just try to figure out what the fuck is going on here and how this works. And I've been running tech companies, been founding tech companies for the past 10 years. And also a marathon runner. Runners are just like the CrossFit guys. They cannot just stop talking about it. So I had to include it in my presentation. So quickly about LimeChain, as I mentioned, we're a blockchain development company, among many things. The team is currently around 100 people, 110 more specifically, and we developed more than 180 projects. We've been working with Polka, with Hedera Hashgraph. We've been working with one big automotive company out of Stuttgart that I cannot, sadly share the name of it, but they make a model called Cayenne, so you probably could figure it out. And many others. This is part of the boomer sector that tried to sway into the Web3. I won't go into the details here. This is the set of the companies. We have LimeChain, the Web3 technology and solutions development company. We have Lime Academy, which is a academy that targets toward Web2 developers that want to transfer into Web3. We've been successfully have trained more than 100 developers so far, and it's going really well. It's one of those things that I'm really, thankful about because, you can see how the whole ecosystem is changing and moving. What we saw in the past several years is that one of the hardest challenges to solve is not the technical one, but the legal one. And that's why I decided to launch a Web3 legal counseling company that we support, the blockchain entrepreneurs onto the road and, navigate in the hectic space that legal is. And last, our R&D division. I'll talk briefly about my journey, and it's really important for the following of the presentation here. I'll probably trap into the middle of it. So I had my first job, that was either a big blessing or a big curse. I haven't figured out it yet, but my first job was in a startup. That was like back 2013. Startups was just something new out of the block, and there was not, they were not so hot and so popular at that point. Especially in Bulgaria, where I'm from, it was just a new novel thing that's going on there, and I was the first employee there. And until the end of the year, I joined in January. I think in October we got funded by one of the accelerators and venture funds in Bulgaria. It was one of the first funds in Europe that were funded by European Union. That was kind of a strategic funds that the European Union developed among the country states in order to be able to, to accelerate the development of startups. It was amazing because, at that point we got the full support of EU, and we got shipped a lot of people from San Francisco into Bulgaria, and they did workshops for us, and they taught us, how to, figure out market fits. They, help us, sell better, how to build better products, all this stuff. it was like invaluable knowledge that we got at that point. And the awesome thing about it, and why I have included this slide here, is because these funds were, locally focused, which means that they were not only funding Bulgarian companies, they were funding Romanian companies, Serbian companies, Croatian companies. We have several Albanian companies in this part, and it was amazing because the vibe was really awesome. We were working from 7 a.m. in the morning up until 3 or 4 a.m. in the evening, and it was really hard work, really a lot of parties, and then hard work, a lot of parties. I probably have removed like 20 years of my life on that point, but it was totally worth it. And another thing that this was, I'm back in college at that point. I'm like second year university, and it was my first, interaction with more international, international people. So it was amazing to understand with the Balkan peoples how different we are, but at the same point understand how how similar we are and how close we are. Yes, we have our disputes in the past. Yes, we have several. Our story is complicated, and I'll go into tap that on the next slides. But when united together, and we have several people from Netherlands, we have several people from England, and you can figure out the different dynamics that's going on. It's like culturally. Yes, we're kind of the same continent, but we're way closer to the people from the Balkans than people from UK, for example, Netherlands, Germany, and so on and so on. So it was an amazing thing. We're totally kicked ass. One of my best friends I made at that point, one of the co-organizers of this conference, is actually someone I met back then. We worked together. After that, I became a mentor, start mentoring his company at that point. So it was really amazing. So I was taught, we lost the Web2 wave, right? At that point, we're catching up. But we're not catching the Web3. Balkan states and Balkan region is a big hub for Web3. And I thought, why not have the same thing, but better, united by Web3 and united by tech? And in order to be able to do that, there's several things that have to happen. But first, let's go geography one-on-one. So what's the Balkan states and who are the Balkan states? So the Balkan states include Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Croatia, Kosovo, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Romania, brackets, sometimes. Sometimes Turkey is included, northern part of Turkey, sometimes not. For this particular presentation, I have excluded Turkey, I have included Romania because we're kind of closer regions. And Serbia and Slovenia. And our history is fucking complicated. We'll go that later. But, history-wise, we're all united by one thing, and that is this, liquid gold. I've seen with my eyes, Serbian people and Croatian people have multiple disputes. After several rakias, they're all friends, and, it was going really groovy. I've seen that multiple times with different nations. And I think really, it might sound a little alcoholic, but still, I think we're united by that, and it's worth to mention it. And this is like a really glossy Photoshop picture of it, and it's like a more realistic one. The shit is done when it looks like that, and it's in like Coca-Cola bottle. All right, so why not let's set aside our differences, drink rakia, cold, and kick ass. Figuratively speaking, I'm no progression here, and we can definitely do that. And as I mentioned, we have a rich history of not agreeing with each other, starting with the Balkan Wars, World War I, World War II, the Cold War and post-Cold War. And I'm not quite sure on what we are right now. I think like a second Cold War happening right now, but, yet to figure out. But as I mentioned, we're more alike than different. And I have a story here. This is a picture that could, a drawing that could be found in every, history book in Bulgaria. The guy with the big stick is called Kanko Brat. It's like one of the founders. It's the father of one of the founders of the Bulgarian nation. And on the right side is Kanas Paruch, which is the founder of the Bulgarian state. And there's this following, history goes like that. So Kanko Brat hands one of the sticks to Kanas Paruch and said, "Can you break this stick?" And he easily break it. And after that, he hands him like a bunch of sticks and said, "Okay, break it now." And he cannot. And the merit of the story here, and what Kanko Brat says, is that we're just like the sticks, taken one by one. It's like really easy to break us, but if we're together, it's really not. is like the way to go. And my thesis is quite simple. And this is if the Balkan nations join forces united by technology, we can be more successful together and compete with traditional hubs like Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley is kind of the big beast to slay, right? You have Berlin, you have London, you have Hong Kong, you have multiple hubs happening all around the place. Singapore is one of those. And Dubai is becoming one now. And I think, the hardest one to slay, Silicon Valley, is really doable to do it in Web3. And in order to prove my point, I did some comparisons. And one of the first things to compare here and is the dev power. It's one of the most important things, right? We have several things related to geography, how close or how far apart we are, but one of the important things is dev power. And I used BART and ChatGPT, and I know probably the data is not as accurate and not absolutely accurate, but it's accurate enough. And what BART says is that total in the Balkan states, we have 187,000 developers. According to ChatGPT, the number is 259,000. And speaking from experience, I know Bulgarian for sure have more than 50,000 developers, and I'm leaning more that the second number is probably, is closer one. Although we have some, discrepancies here. So let's say like the middle ground between those two is kind of the way to go. And how this compares to Silicon Valley is the following. According to BART, 341,000 and ChatGPT 255,000. And there's one really important story here that nobody pays attention to it. It's like 50,000 of those developers are actually Balkan people. So if you do something good here, they're definitely can lose those people. Ship them back here and work together. So it's kind of a balancing act. And the second most important thing is Balkan tech hubs. And I prepared a list of those. It's like I've compared to the size of it. So first and the biggest one is Bucharest, Romania. The Romanian government has done really impossible things when it comes down to supporting their tech ecosystem. It's a really good example to have, and we can definitely share knowledge with those guys, and they share knowledge with us. So Bucharest, Romania, and this is one of the countries that has more than one hub. So Bucharest, Romania first. Then we have Cluj second, which is an emerging tech scene. And what those two have in common is tech universities, of course. Third one is Sofia. Fourth one is Belgrade. Then we have Zagreb, and then we have Ljubljana. And this is how it looks like. This is on the map. I took a ride from Sofia to Split on Monday. It took me like 12 hours. It took me like 8 hours to get to Zagreb, and probably 3 hours to get to Belgrade. Speaking from Bulgarian standpoint, it's really easy for me to navigate all this landscape, and it's really easy for me to do business and travel. So we're not that close to each other, but not that far away that it's a problem. And that's good because we have enough space to develop our own tech hubs, but still we're close enough to collaborate. Another important thing is how the VC money or VC landscape looks like. So these are the notable VCs we have. We have so many, VCs, mostly of them funded by European Union, which means that they are, obliged to invest in the region. Which means we can take those guys and they have to invest in companies in that region. It's just a matter of us, figure out what they do to invest in. And of course, we have some concerns. Being Balkan people, we have disagreement with each other, but in many aspects, we're competitors. And that's been true when we're talking about services and when we're talking about outsourcing. The typical profile of a tech company not doing product in the Balkan region is doing outsourcing for Germany, UK, or US. And we're competitors here, right? We compete about rates, we compete about, team size and stuff like that, seniority, everything else. But when we're talking about products, we have more synergies in all that disputes here. So this could be mitigated easily. One other thing is oftentimes one would prefer to support his own country rather than support a region. This is semi-true, it really depends on the business sense and the business logic behind it. So if someone has, the incentive to support particular company, even from different region, but on the better terms, they'll probably do it. And we have to work diligently to collaborate with each other. We tend to have cultural baggage that we have to work on. It's something that we can fix. I've seen it in my eyes in 2013. It's not that hard. Rokia helps a lot, right? But we have to do it. And we Balkan people tend to have big egos. And that's kind of a bad thing and a good thing, because it makes a bit more predictable. But it's something to consider. So how to make this work? I have outlined several points here, to how we can make this work. And the first one is to create more opportunity to spend time together. This conference is an amazing example. We're here mostly Balkan people, as I mentioned. We, have so many opportunities to interact with each other. We saw that what we're doing, we have a lot of cross points. We have a lot of synergy points that we can take. So first one is, let's build relationship. Let's have more opportunities like that. Let's have a collaboration between the tech organization of different tech hubs. Let's eliminate the barriers. There are a lot of barriers related to economical relationships. But generally speaking, we have less barriers between the Balkan states, for example, than we have with developed markets. So it's easier for us, to trade or to work together, do business together, rather with the other guys. And with the other guys, it's really easy, so they can figure out, create work on joint initiatives. Another important thing, I've been part of the multiple, student-run organizations, and we've been working with multiple people in the region as well. And what I've seen is that when you have joint goal, it's really, the cultural differences are just sort of removed, and you're focused on the sole goal. So if you have kind of a joint strategy, joint goal, joint idea what we want to do, that's going to really help us. Create information channels, improve information flows. Although we're really close, we don't really know what's up with the other guys, right? Me from Bulgaria have a really bad idea what's going on in Serbia or what's going on in Croatia. And that's because we don't speak to each other. Our organizations are speaking to each other. And I think we can really, easily fix that. And I'm talking here about a Web3 space, particularly. Let's start from there. Let's see where this leads us. Capital, invest in each other. What better thing to spend money on a company in a different region, and then you have a lot of interest in following what's up with that region. So it's like a really, really easy thing to do. Leverage diaspora. This is one of the biggest, and best resources we have that, Romania have used, really, really, great, and we have so many potential in using that. A lot of the great minds of Silicon Valley in the US are actually of Balkan descent. They're either first generation or second generation, but even if they're second generation, they have really good connection to the Balkan states still. So, this is one thing. We have so many people on higher position, VP level, C level in the big companies. We can leverage that. If we create opportunities, we make, make them come to our parties, make them come to, to such conference, see what's up in the region, persuade themselves that it's a way to go. This is the future, because as everybody knows, the US is in decline, and probably we see China and European Union emerging, as trade powers. So it's amazing. Let's do it. It's easy, and it's kind of a logical thing to do. And then showcase the success stories. One of the things that American guys are doing best is marketing. It's like their bread and butter. They make a little thing look so big. And we, the Balkan people, tend to, be really shy about it, and, not be like the smart artists in the room. So we tend to, keep it low. And I think we have to stop do that. And we have to, share our successes, support each other, and, build this figure of the successful Balkan entrepreneur that's been kicking ass in the West and has conquered the Western markets. So this is my thesis. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for your time.